Hi, Rachel. Thank you so much for joining us in the play therapy community. I know, you are a lifesaver to many of us in helping us transition in this time of just uncertainty and all of this telehealth stuff. And when I saw your video, I was like, holy moly, thank goodness for this girl. So let me have you just introduce yourself, tell people who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm so glad that it's been helpful. I want to start off with that. We're all in this together. This is a community. It is important that we lean on each other and we support each other. So I'm happy to help. But yes, I am Rachel, Dr. Rachel Altvater. I am licensed as a psychologist in Maryland, Washington, D.C., and Virginia. I'm a registered play therapist supervisor. I have a trauma certification. And I recently opened my own practice in Maryland called Creative Psychological Health Services, which I'm very excited to be in the community, especially during this time. So I'm grateful for that. And I also work at Gill Institute for Trauma Recovery and Education. I'm an affiliate faculty member at Loyola University, Maryland. I just sprinkle myself a little everywhere, a little here, a little there.
Holy moly.
um, staying busy, but also taking care of myself, which I think is going to be the underlying message through all of this, is just making sure we're taking care of ourselves. We're tending to what we can tend to, but not overexerting ourselves. So
True.
yeah,
Wow, you
and
do
maybe,
sprinkle yourself all over the place.
oh,
You're like making your goodness kind of like accessible to lots of different people in lots of different ways.
yeah, well, I hope so. I feel I am so drawn to connections, meaningful connections. That is something that makes my heart feel warm. It also, I think, is just the way my brain works. I've learned more as I've understood myself. I think I just draw these connections in my brain. And I think a lot of us probably do as play therapists, as therapists. And yeah, just sprinkling all over. So I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of calm and community and connection here. And I hope even just, as you start to listen to this and, think about how this might apply to your own practice, just remember to take a deep breath, be gentle with unprecedented time. And first and foremost, we're all human beings, and we got to remember that. So maybe that's the best place to start, if
Yeah.
that's okay, just talking about taking care of ourselves, and then we can move into just whatever might be helpful as people navigate this
Yeah.
change.
That sounds like, that's perfect. And when you say the word connection, I think like that is the key. That's what we need to remember, whether it's online or whether it's in person, doing the best that we can to
Yeah.
truly just be present with our clients and to connect with ourselves, our others, our needs, everything. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are just kind of, they're at that space where I was in the beginning, like, what do I
Mm.
do? Like a little emergency light is going on, like, holy moly, I don't know actually what to do. Some actual practical, okay, I know the theory behind it, but how can I truly help my clients online? So
Yeah.
what can you share with us to help us in that realm?
We got hit with a lot at once, right?
Yeah.
And something that I always reflect on in sessions is, what is one thing we can focus on at a time versus everything, right? Like let's focus on one thing. Let's reflect on that one thing, because I don't know if this is something that maybe is in TFCBT or maybe EMDR, but the like, well, no, I guess that doesn't necessarily apply. The example I was I'll kind of keep it to this. I don't want to get it too abstract. We'll stick with the
Yeah.
concrete
Like all the
support.
letters, EMDR.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that,
Okay.
yeah, I think I'll just kind of keep it pretty simple.
Mhm.
We have to focus on one thing at a time. Ultimately, that's the message, right? I mean, we're hit with a global pandemic. We're holding onto the weight of the world. We're holding onto the weight of our clients, our families, our friends, ourselves.
Mhm.
Any potential trauma or stressor that we're receiving from the environment, whether it's going to the grocery store, whether it's watching the news, we're being flooded with a tremendous amount of information and intense emotions.
Mhm.
So first and foremost, we have to focus on one thing at a time. And so we have to make time to take care of ourselves, and we have to take time to take care of those that we can take care of,
Yes.
and try not to overexert ourselves. I am notorious for this. I think a lot of people probably in our field are notorious for this. We are givers, we are lovers, we are helpers. And it is very easy to give so much of ourselves. And this is the time that we really need to come back to ourselves so we can be present for so many other people. So
Oh,
that's the first thing. Focus on one thing at a time as much as you can, right? This is an idealistic concept for a very complex world right now, but just
mhm.
trying to come back to that.
Yeah, to you just kind of put it to words to normalize it. Like we are givers, and we are like, I just want to give so much, but so if we give that we don't have, we're not going to
Yeah.
be there for ourselves, our families, or for our clients, or for anyone. So
Yes.
self care really is an optional. I was talking to Lynn Louise Wonders about that, thinking about like the importance of just taking care of ourselves for our clients.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm recognizing that I'm feeling these feelings more intensely. I always tell everyone we're like vessels for human emotions. And so
Hmm.
the emotions move through us,
Hmm.
and we have to find a way to release them, or else they'll start to ramp up. Or, I love the analogy of and I'll keep it a simple analogy, but I love the analogy of the sand art, and how, we all are containers, and each layer of sand that we put in our container is a different feeling, a different thought, a different experience that we encounter.
Yeah.
And I actually, funny enough, have one right behind me. Maybe I can grab it in a second,
Yeah.
but uh, actually, let me just grab it. I'm going to quickly
Yeah.
move this forward. I'm just going to lean back real quick. One
Mhm.
moment.
I love how your brain works. My therapist at heart. Oh gosh, that's beautiful.
Oh, I love this. So this is my little container.
Mhm.
I love how it's interesting shapes, because I think this is so symbolic with how thin it is, right? Sometimes our container can't hold as much, sometimes we can hold more, but each layer is a different thing that we've been through. And a lot of the things down here are stuff that we're already holding on to. So we're already holding on to a lot before any of this even happened.
Yeah.
And then we're just building it up, building up. Sometimes it starts to get mixed together, and then we feel overwhelmed, but we're not really sure why we feel overwhelmed.
Mm.
But I think it's good to remember this, and we're containers, and we're only able to hold on to so much. And we're holding on to our stuff, the client stuff, as I said, our family, our friends, the world. I
Yeah.
mean, it's filling up really quickly. And
Yeah.
I'm feeling that. I'm feeling it fill up tremendously quicker than it usually does for me.
Yeah.
um, I'm noticing I'm having stomach aches, and I've been feeling extra emotional. I think it's important that we lean into those feelings, that we don't run from them, just like we tell our clients, just like we play through with our clients, making sure that they're really feeling and expressing themselves. I think us as a play therapy community can really lean into so many creative outlets,
Mhm.
because we are very creative, and we know expressive arts is so healing and therapeutic. I
Yeah.
reached out to a colleague, had a colleague make a drawing page for me. She's a doodler, and I colored, and that was collaborative self-care. And since then, she's been doodling more for her own self-care. So
Oh,
back to the connection, the
love.
community,
Mhm.
having collaborative self-care. I know Lynn Louise Wonders, I always come back to her with my self-care as well.
Mhm.
And she, has been doing different meditation
Yeah.
practices
Like,
for the
cool?
community. Yeah.
Mhm.
You've been reaching out. I mean, it's so amazing how many people have connected. And so lean on those supports, and make sure that you're releasing those feelings, and make sure that you're trying to release as much as you can in your container. It's easier said than done. It's such a tough time, and to be gentle with yourself as well in the process. Not, I should be doing more. Don't should all over the place.
I love that. Yeah.
Just making sure you're tending to your mind and body in a compassionate, caring, gentle way. I
Oh, I
think
love
that
that.
is
Passionate way
the
of being kind
yeah. I think
to
that's
yourself.
the most important.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hey, can you pull the sand art over a little bit? There's like a little spot in the middle that is kind of empty. And I think
Yeah.
about like meditation, mindfulness, that pause, that empty part where we could be like, just kind of allows our brain to settle down, and allows us to kind of take a pause.
Yeah.
That is like the coolest metaphor ever. I
I
love that.
love that.
So much out of it. But it is, there's like a little hole there. And when you're talking about self-care, I'm thinking we need to give ourselves that little hole so we have some clarity. So we're not all
Mhm.
just worried about all these different things. We can take a pause.
Yeah.
I know like Jamie, what's her name? Jamie Lynn Langley. She like talks about nature all the time. And I got into, and I know your Facebook post moved me, where you were like showing like your vulnerability and like how it's affecting you. Like I work with a lot of consultees through my EMDR work, and I was noticing I was starting to like cry in these consultation sessions. Like I was hearing we're doing case consultation. I could feel these big feelings in my body, and I started tearing up. I was like, okay, so this is different. The stories have always been intense. This is
Mhm.
not something new, but
Yeah.
what's new is the kind of my response, my body's reaction. So I started taking walks in nature, and I felt that little space like in your sand art. I felt that, and then things are not as intense. They're still intense. I mean, to be
Yeah.
totally transparent, it's a lot. But that
Yeah.
little space, like in your sand art, that makes a world of difference.
It does. I love that analogy so much. It's so funny because my very concrete mind was, why is there a gap in here? But how symbolic is that with self-care as well, right? We give
It's
so
so
much to other people and not always the same amount to ourselves. And
mm.
to not be dismissive of or rejecting of the bits of time and space, literally and figuratively, that we need to give to ourselves.
Oh, that's so good. You're brilliant. I love, I
Oh,
love the way like your mind works and everything. And I just think about like what it must be like to be your client, and how organically you come up with these
mhm.
metaphors and apply them to whatever they're going, or help them work through their own metaphors in like that kind of symbolic way.
I always start with analogies. I think
Mhm.
it gets to the point, especially with my like teen and adult clients. If I'm doing non-directive play therapy, I don't use analogies, but it's funny because it gets to the point I think where they're just like, okay, what's the analogy now? But they really appreciate it and I think really connect with it, which is really awesome.
That's so
Um,
good. Yeah, you used the word flooding, like when you first started talking. And this does feel like a flood. I think about like standing and a flood coming towards you. You're trying to grab on to anything and everything you can to keep your footing. And you're
yeah,
looking around for those that you care about. Like, I got to grab them too. Like, gives me chills. And I think about like you're one of those things that people are looking to grab onto. You're like a telephone pole that people are like, okay, we're being flooded. What can we find to really kind of give us some stability and keep us and our the ones that we care about from being washed away? So I think
wow.
you're beautiful.
I'm feeling my feels right now, but we can feel them, allow yourself to feel them, let it out, let it out. Thank you. That means a lot, really. And I'm happy to be someone like a little life preserver for people. I think
Yes, you
especially with
are.
this topic, I feel so comfortable with this topic because I did my dissertation research on incorporating technology and play therapy, and I've written about incorporating technology and play therapy and meeting a child where they are in their digital world. And so I know how overwhelmed I felt when I first started. I already had a teletherapy day,
Uh,
and I already felt comfortable with technology.
mm,
And I I think that if I was feeling so overwhelmed, I can only imagine how much more overwhelmed everyone else is feeling.
yes.
And in my dissertation research, something that came out was how uncomfortable so many people were. I registered,
Mm,
or excuse me, I interviewed registered play therapists and registered play therapist supervisors to see what they were noticing in their playroom in regards to digital toys.
yeah.
And almost everyone expressed some level of discomfort.
Mm,
There was a couple that felt pretty comfortable, but many didn't feel comfortable. So I immediately thought of those results. And granted, it was like 12, 13 people, but still,
yeah.
it's data.
Yeah.
Data is data.
Hmm.
um, but I just thought this is going to be exceptionally tougher for so many people
Yeah.
who now have to navigate this completely different world, this ecosystem, as some of my people like to call it. It's an ecosystem online. And so, it's kind of like being put, here we go, another analogy.
Yeah. I
Get
love
used to it, everyone.
it.
It's like kind of like being dropped off into the Amazon, like, good luck. Like, you're in a new place. You need to figure out where you're going, how to navigate it, what's there, what resources can you use, how can you find a connection? I mean, it's tough. And then,
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
I think
thinking
about
about,
the Amazon too. You don't even know what kind of animals or what dangers are there, because I've never been to the Amazon. It's like, let me find a tour guide.
yeah, and the weather, I don't, maybe I don't know all about the weather. I don't really know a whole lot about the
Yeah.
Amazon, but I think that there's a lot of, a lot of rain, a lot of, um, so I think it's important to remember that too, that you're navigating a completely different ecosystem and there's a lot of uncertainties, and be gentle with yourself through that whole process. And again, lean on each other, right? We need a tour guide. We're each other's tour guides. And
Yes. Yeah. We're
and
like on
so,
a journey together. And I think about too, like going back to the Amazon has some beautiful parts to it too. It's some parts are scary, but some
yeah,
parts are pretty beautiful once you get in there, I'm sure. And like with this telehealth, some things are like pretty cool. I'm like able to meet my clients in the space where their story lives. They're showing me their toys. They're showing me where they play. They're showing me where they've had their troubles, their struggles. There's like actually some bonuses, which
hmm
seems kind of strange to say in this super difficult time, but there are some pieces that we don't get in that office setting. We get to be in their space, and that's
yeah,
connecting with them on a deeper level, which is huge.
absolutely. Yeah, and I keep going back to one of the core principles or foundations of play therapy is meeting kids where they are and speaking their language.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what we're doing in this digital platform, if it feels like it or not. And something else that came up with my dissertation regarding comfort is, if we feel uncomfortable with a toy in our playroom,
Yeah.
some people don't feel comfortable with swords or guns or things like that, and we have something present in our playroom that feels uncomfortable, kids are going to pick up on it. They
Yeah.
might think it's a reflection of them. And so that's something that I started to recognize a bit more in regards to technology and the digital platform. If we feel uncomfortable, that might come across to the kids, and
Absolutely.
not to add any layers of stress, to that. It's just recognizing the importance of really centering yourself, feeling comfortable, and then meeting the child where they are and working through anything that comes up, just like it would in an in-person play therapy session.
Ah, that's so true. And, I have to say there are things that I don't feel comfortable with in my playroom. And either you get comfortable with it or you take it out. So
Hmm. Yep.
the one thing's coming to mind is glitter. That's the thing for me. I'm like, I am not present when there's a bottle of glitter because I have some capital T traumas relating to it, or maybe middle of the road. But I'm like, I'm not present. I'm like thinking about all kinds of things other than being with that child.
Yeah.
I think, just getting comfortable with the technology, if at all possible, can be
Hmm.
helpful. And then if not, kind of setting with that and processing through it and seeing, what else you could do. I know some people, and it's not preferable, some people are kind of meeting with their clients on the phone because they don't have
Hmm.
internet connections, their
Yeah.
clients may not have. So I think kind of doing the best we can with what we have is like a biggie.
Yeah. Something that I also want to bring up in relation to that is just being aware of varying diversity factors.
Yeah.
Something else that I looked at my dissertation research was the access to digital tools
Yeah.
across various geographical locations, religions. There are some religions where children are not able to engage in play or any interaction with digital tools.
Yeah.
Socioeconomic status. There are some areas in the country where children who are of lower socioeconomic status, they have all the electronics because that is a priority for families. And in other areas, lower socioeconomic status, they don't have access. Some areas of the country, internet access is spotty. So I want to acknowledge all these additional factors that so many people are going through as they navigate all of this.
Yeah.
What access did they already have beforehand to various technology devices or platforms?
That's so true. The actual mechanics of it, like they
Yeah.
may not have, they not even that they don't have it. That's not in their cultural realm, or
Hmm.
so you got to kind of be flexible. Just like with diversity in general, when we're working with a client, we have to look at things through their situation, their eyes. What's it like for them, and where can we help them in a way that we have access to?
Hmm.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is
And
so
so
good.
being able to Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to say this is so good, so very helpful. I hadn't even considered that piece. Like as far as, I mean, I thought about people not having access to internet, but just the cultural aspects of it didn't even cross my mind because I'm used to working with my clients and my population. But across the globe, we're like,
Mhm.
some of us are even getting new clients and kind of really, really honing in on that diverse, socioeconomic, accessibility, those cultural pieces, so important.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think that if there are some therapists who are watching who are unable to have a full caseload because of their own family needs, personal needs, or because of the client ability to meet them in a digital platform, like, go easy on yourself. It's so easy for us to compare to one another, and why does this person have all of these clients and all these people don't have these, or I don't have them, or all this comparison just adds an extra layer
Yeah.
of stress and tension that we're placing on our bodies, that we don't need to do that. We really don't need to do that.
It like gives you this feeling of inadequacy when you do that.
Yes.
And then that's another thing that clients can pick up on, or just people in general. And it makes you feel not as effective. So, as kind of confident in the stuff that you're really kind of jamming at. So I think that's so
Yeah.
important. Comparison is the thief of joy. Who said that? Somebody said that. I'm quoting somebody. I can't remember the source, but that's like an old quote that's so true. All right, I have a 1:30
Yeah.
client that I gotta jump online with, but I super appreciate this, Rachel. I know, like, you're helping so many. You've helped me, and, you'll never know the impact that you're making on the world doing this.
Oh,
Thank you.
thank you. And I think something to remember for everyone too, a nice little parting word is just for us to remember all the ripples that we're creating in this world, right? And you're right. Like, we don't know all the impacts that we're making
Mhm.
on a macro or micro level, but just continuing to be present for yourself and those that you love, you're making more ripples than you realize that you are.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes. All right, Rachel, you take care. I'll catch you later.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.